Week 11 is here. The CFP rankings were just unveiled for the first time this season on Tuesday night. We were watching it and we're reacting to it live with all of you. Thank you for tuning in with us on our YouTube channel and on X. We had a ton of people in there, a ton of comments. Appreciate you guys engaging with us in the sport we love called college football. Got to say, the committee didn't do half bad. For me, like in my book, they're 1 for 1 so far. However, there is still much more football to be played. We're going to talk about all the biggest games this coming weekend. We're going to talk a little upset meter in this episode because it is November after all, and we see upsets all the time in this month. And of course, after our 2-week, it was our first 2-week losing streak and our upset alert picks, we got to get back on the horse, man. We got to get back on the horse. And with our best bets, man, for me personally, toughest Saturday of the year last week by far. So looking to rebound there. That'll be later in the show. This is Always Talking Ball. Tyler Nohe, Lance Barton. As always, real quick before we get started, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you like the show, comment on it, subscribe on Apple and Spotify. And if you're following us on X, Instagram, and TikTok, we thank you for that. At Always Talk Ball on X, at Always Talking Ball on Instagram and TikTok. We love the engagement. This is kind of this time last year is when we kind of exploded on those social media channels, putting out some videos about a team that people love to call the Coots. We're not going to talk about them tonight. So let's talk about Big Game Breakdown, sponsored by Branded Bills. As always, click on the link in the episode description. Lance is rocking a beautiful, comfortable, new dad life hat. I've got one of those too, just not rocking it tonight. But they are. I think you said it was the most comfortable hat you've ever worn.
I've ever owned, man. A competitor of theirs. I've always been a big fan of Travis Matthew hats, and have several of those. And then I started getting into the Brandon Bill hats, and then obviously I really wanted to support them when they came on as an affiliate sponsor of ours. And this specific hat right here, the elite performance hat that they have, most comfortable hat I've ever owned, man. I had a friend that once told me that whenever you go shopping for a hat and you're in like a hat store or one of those lid stores or whatever, and you put a hat on your head and then it fits like a glove, got to get it right there. Don't think anything else about it. Just break out the wallet, break out the credit card, go get it. This hat right here fits like a glove. I love it.
Yep. The link for Branded Bills is in the episode description, or just scan that QR code at the top right of the YouTube screen. Type in the code BRANDED15, and you get 15% off of your order. Other than Dad Life, other than America stuff that Lance always rocks, they've got tons of colleges on there too. Again, get that performance hat. It's going to fit so well on your head. It's going to feel so good. They got beanies too. It's going to be cold. We're going to talk about a couple of these games here. It's going to be cold. So, Lance, let's start off in Lubbock, Texas. And for this one, we had to bring back in our boy, Josh Abbott from the Josh Abbott Band, Texas Tech super fan himself. College game day is going to be at the game this weekend. Biggest game, maybe one of the biggest games in Texas Tech history. Josh, you're going to be at the game as well. Man, we had you back in the summer. We talked about Texas Tech. We talked about all the hype. They've definitely lived up to that hype. I mean, in your mind, we can talk about your predictions, everything in your mind, like just how has the season gone? Like, is it a quote dream season to you so far? Or is it just kind of like, it's kind of what we expected. It's what we hoped for, but it'll be a dream season pending what happens in the playoffs.
Sure. I think bingo, you nailed it. I mean, both of those things, right? I mean, it is what we expected because we've been, like I talked to y'all about, we've been building, and there's been so much momentum behind the scenes that doesn't get covered as much on a national basis, but just the upgraded facilities and the vibe and the way McGuire is and the culture he's building, which is a term that every program across America uses, right? Culture, but they don't all have it. He's got it. He's got it dialed in. And so I do think we kind of expected to be in the race, right? And I think it's been a dream season for this one reason. Oh, God, don't jinx it. I'm going to knock on wood. We haven't been hit hard by injuries yet.
Yeah.
And hopefully that stays that way. I mean, Baron Morton has missed a few games, or he's missed moments of games. And, of course, he missed the Arizona State game. Yeah. And, that was our one loss, right? On the road against last year's Big 12 champ with our backup. Just one of those games, right? And and we lost to Gil Howard, one of our down defensive linemen. I guess he plays probably 3 technique or whatever. But anyway, we lost him, and that one stung as well. But fortunately, we'd have some depth there to kind of take that spot in a way. But we still have those other defensive stalwarts on the. I mean, look at David Bailey. Really, we should start the conversation with Jacob Rodriguez. I mean, he is the guy. He is Mr. Texas Tech, and we love to see it. A guy that's from Wichita Falls, which is only like 3 hours from Lubbock. A guy who wanted to be there, left. He used to be a quarterback at Virginia, and he left to walk on to be a linebacker at Tech. And his athleticism just shows, and his ability to read the game and watch it he just reacts so well, and he forces turnovers. I mean, I don't know if you saw the highlight of this game against K-State we had last week, but when he punched that ball out, I freaking got lit. I mean, that is textbook football stuff right there. That has to make anyone that likes football. I bet Jim Harbaugh watched that and just freaking yelled, because he's a football guy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think it's been a dream season because all these guys have stayed healthy. I mean, we have Jacob leading the defense, and David Bailey's been freaking unstoppable off the edge, and Romello Hythe's doing his thing. Lee Hunter's clogging the middle, and man, there's just so many other guys I could just keep naming. We've got guys in coverage that are grading out really well this year. And, of course, our other linebackers as well. I mean, they're just great. And on the offensive line, too, I think we talked about that when we talked last was, it's a position you just can't lose a lot of your starters at. Once you start playing a lot of backup linemen on the O-line, you really start struggling. That's probably on every level of football, right? So I just think it's been a great season, man. And we can't ask for better. I mean, our offense is doing its job pretty much. Most games, there's been some moments that we've struggled. But the defense has shown up every single week, and it's been cool.
Yeah, Josh, when we talked back with you during the summer, I told you that, like maybe a long lost, like beloved cousin of mine was Shield Wood, and how much I'd been following his career before he got to Texas Tech. And back in the day, me and a buddy of mine used to just bet Troy unders every single week for a couple of years. And that was when Shield Wood was the defensive coordinator at Troy, and they had one of the best defenses in college football, and we're holding teams to no points and single digits. And then he goes to Tulane, does the same thing there, goes to Houston. They go from being one of the worst defenses in the country to being a top 30 defense. And the question I mentioned to you back then during the summer was, I said, what's it going to be like knowing that Texas Tech is going to have the word defense associated with it now? And because we all know Texas Tech has been a high-flying, really good offense dating back to the Mike Leach years, RIP, and carried on from there with Cliff Kingsbury and different coaches. And that you just mentioned, like David Bailey, what he's done, leading the nation with 11.5 sacks. Jacob Rodriguez, 74 tackles, 7 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. Like those players, like are doing really well, like from an individual standpoint. But talk about just what Shield Wood, man, has meant to Texas Tech, bringing defense to Lubbock.
Well, typically in years past, it's my group side chats during games that we're not at, right? We're all questioning, oh my gosh, I can't believe, that what was that coverage or what was that blitz? Typical stuff. But it's usually on the defense. And then every now and then we've, over the years, we've run into some offensive situations where like, oh my God, we checked down again on 3rd down, and I can't take another screenplay. I'm going to scream. But it's been interesting because I don't really think that the group chats have blown up about our defensive side of the ball this year. Like everyone's just like, man, they're dialed in. I mean, the coverage is there. Everybody knows their assignments. We're blitzing in the right moments and, clogging gaps, and it's just been beautiful to watch. And, I'm just enjoying it while it lasts. I'm not saying that it's not always going to be there, but that's a guy who's going to be a head coach.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if he's going to be at Tech 1 year or 2 years, 3 years. I hope he's there for a while, but I mean, who knows? And we've got 7 defensive seniors, I think, starting. And then that doesn't include another guy who possibly might leave for the NFL. I can't remember, but it's very possible our defense looks completely different next year. So I'm just trying to soak it in and watch these guys dominate the game. It's been a really long time since I genuinely felt like we could hang with any team in the country.
Yeah.
And I genuinely feel that right now. I'm not saying that, we have more blue chip depth than teams like Ohio State or something, but I'm just saying these guys are dialed in, and I think we can hang with anyone. And so it feels good. It's been a great year. It's been everything we wanted as a Red Raider.
Let's talk about this game this weekend. How much BYU have you had a chance to watch? I know obviously they're undefeated. They got Bear Bachmeier, true freshman at quarterback, who's played really, really well. They kind of, limped him right along at the beginning of the season, kind of, kept it close to the vest. But I'm just wondering too, if we're watching Shieldwood's defense and he's a defensive mastermind, he's going up against a freshman quarterback. And I always remember, Bill Belichick's defense, when they go up against rookie quarterbacks in the NFL, they just had their minds in a blender, it seemed. And so
Sure.
Just talked a little bit about the matchup, what you see kind of from the BYU side.
Obviously, they grade out pretty similar, I feel like, as that we do in a lot of areas. On the offensive side of the ball, they're, kind of right there with ours. On the defensive side of the ball, we've obviously got a massive edge there.
They have so many exciting whites they're throwing the ball to.
Yeah, they got exciting whites all over the field there.
You're like, man, BYU really missed the boat on recruiting Cam Scattaboo, didn't they? I mean, he would have been an awesome Mormon. But but now, I've watched. I don't know if I've watched more or less of them this season than other teams. I try to keep up with it every Saturday when I'm on the bus watching, and obviously they've been putting some games together, but I felt like even before the lines for the game came out, I just think we're way better, and I think our defense is going to completely in Lubbock shut down this freshman quarterback. And I was texting my friends like, man, I think we're going to win this game by 20, and they're like, man, that'd be a crazy thing. Well, then the Vegas line comes out at I don't know, 8.5. And then it's all the way up to 10.5 now or something like that. I don't know where it's at, but clearly they're daring the public to take the higher ranked team and give them double digits.
Yep.
That feels good. I think you've nailed it. I think the defense is going to come out. They're going to force a lot of turnovers. And I think they're going to give them some fits on offense. And then on defense, I think the key is breaking tackles, because I looked at some of their coverage grades, and they're doing their job, in the secondary, and they're getting a decent pass rush in as well. But I think the key metric that I've seen with them is not quite as strong in tackling grading. So, of course, I'm not a part of that grading process, and there could be some flaws there. But I just see that, and I think to myself, okay, cool. Let's get some guys in space. Let's break some tackles, and hopefully create some big plays off of things like that. And I wouldn't be shocked if we jump out to an early lead and really just dominate the game from the beginning.
Yeah, BYU, Josh, they're one of those teams, again, it's not hard to figure out why they're undefeated right now. They're really good in the turnover margin. They're third in the nation in turning the ball over. They've only had 6 turnovers the entire year. So they're not beating them. So they're not beating themselves. I agree with you in the part of this is going to be strength versus strength in regards to Texas Tech is it's amazing even saying this statement, what I'm about to say. Texas Tech is the number 1 rush defense in the entire country.
It's incredible.
Country. And LJ Martin.
And typically the only time we were high up in, not allowing a lot of rushing yards is because they were throwing the ball 400 or 500 yards on us. Right? So now it feels like we're really earning the rushing grade.
Yeah, exactly. And BYU's tailback, LJ Martin, leads the Big 12 in rushing. So obviously with a freshman quarterback on the road, again, Bear Bachmeier's played really well this year, but they like leaning on that running game. They're solid defensively as well. Their weakness on defense, which is weird for a Kalani Sitake BYU team, they're a little suspect against the run this year. Like Tyler, when we're going to get into it more here in a little bit, their adjusted run metrics and things like that, and opponent adjusted metrics, they're not as good against the run, no way near as good as Texas Tech is against the run. So I like the matchup with Texas Tech's defense against them. And as long as Texas Tech on offense doesn't turn the football over, because, again, BYU is, one of the best teams in college football in the turnover margin and not beating themselves. then I kind of agree with you, man, that I think this is a good matchup for Texas Tech. My question for you is Jones AT&T Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
What is it going to be like? What is BYU and what is the nation when they turn the TV on Saturday going to see at College Game Day and in that stadium for this huge game?
It's a shame it's not. It's a shame it's not a primetime kick. I'll just say that.
It sucks.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the sentiment of this entire thing is it sucks that this is not a night game.
It should be.
But, it's still going to be rowdy. And I think people tuning in are going to see the spirit of college football because, we're not a blue blood program, if you will, right? And, we don't have that corporate staleness to our stadium, I don't think. Like it's just the heartland, and it's the West Texas and Panhandle people just rallied and riled up for this game. And it's going to be loud. It's going to be packed. Pat Mahomes is going to be there. That juices it up a little bit. And it's just going to be an incredible
Did you get a jersey from Pat Mahomes?
Yeah, man. He's so cool. Dude, we've been friends for a while. And, I don't ever really bother him. Can I brag about Pat real quick, though?
Yeah.
This last summer we had devastating floods down in Texas and lost a lot of people. And my wife and I hosted a benefit concert. And I kind of reached out to Pat and his person that handles that stuff. And I was like, man, I never ask you for anything. And I'm sorry, but I got to see it. Is there any way I can get a couple tickets to the game? So they donated something he never donates. 2 tickets to the game with pre-game field passes to go down there and meet him and take a picture. Now, normally that doesn't happen. He says hi to his wife and family and that's it. And we had it as an auction item at our benefit concert and it went for $130,000. It was part of a huge night where we were able to raise over $1 million, and we just wired $1 million to Heavens 27 Foundation, which is an organization that's working with all the families of the girls from the camp.
That's
and
awesome.
So anyway, I want to brag on Pat because he's my dude. I really appreciate him and his entire team. So thank you, Jacqueline, and all of y'all. But anyway, Pat sent me a jersey, that little white iced. I think they're calling it Too Cold or whatever. And that's cool, man. I'm not really like a jersey guy, but, I might rock it for my buddy Pat. And I'm at the very least going to save it for my son because one day he's going to get bigger and really want that jersey. He also sent me a bolo, by the way, and I am going to rock that this Saturday.
There you go.
Pat Mahomes bolo. I think it's kind of the same symbol as his, logo there, but on it, bolo.
Love it, man. Thanks for sharing that story, by the way. And we were following your stuff that you were doing on social media for the benefits for the victims and the families there of the flood and rallying behind that. And just speaks a lot to who you are as a person, man. And seriously, good stuff, man. Thanks for sharing that story.
Thank you. But you're going to see just a lot of good people this Saturday at this Texas Tech game. It's going to be rowdy and wild and loud, and I'm just excited for it. Texas Tech football is great. I know this is a football podcast, but Texas Tech basketball just kicked off, and we're pretty good too. And it's just a great time to be a Red Raider. And I'm excited for the game. And, I think what's really cool about the BYU game too is like a lot of times these big games like this, it's like, oh, it might be a rivalry game or it's going to be chippy or whatever. It's like, man, I can't say the name of the coach correctly. What's his name at BYU?
Kalani Sitake.
He just seems awesome, like a class act. And the BYU fan base, I don't know if you've seen this going around on X this week, but I think the team barber, his wife was in a serious car accident maybe and has some medical needs. And BYU, all the fans started retweeting it being like, hey, let's donate to this. And now that fundraiser that GoFundMe has raised thousands and thousands of dollars from BYU fans.
That's awesome.
So I think it's going to be like a really friendly, good game. I think just really looking forward to what I feel like is the spirit of college football this Saturday.
Yeah, there's two hard-nosed teams going at it, man, that the country's going to get a chance to watch Saturday right out of the gate. Looking forward to it.
So I think I'm sorry. I was just going to follow up on your point about the running game, where we might have an edge there. And I think, that talks about what I was saying, the breaking tackles, getting Dickey, involved in the running game, kind of running downhill and then getting, I think Jacoby Williams is his name. I'm getting so old. It's hard to remember all the names, but, getting him, loose on the edge and getting him in space and letting his speed do the work. So I think our running backs are obviously going to be a huge part of this game.
Well, let's finish it off here, man. I'm going to get us kicked off with game picks. This is like, to me, this is almost like textbook, like Utah Cincinnati last week. You saw the line open up at 8.5, and it just ticked up, and you're like, why in the world is Utah just getting all this money coming in on them? And we saw what happened Saturday night in Rice Eccles. I think that Texas Tech is going to blow the doors off of BYU. And I'm not just saying that. I told that to Lance last night.
You did?
I'm not just saying that because you're on here. Like, I just think I'm with you, man. Like, or whoever, one of your friends said it, but 20 points. Like, I think this could be like a classic case. They jump out to an early lead. They control the game. They step on their throats later in the second half. Tough environment for a freshman quarterback to go and win at. And I think Texas Tech, like you said, man, I think they got all the tools. Like Ohio State, Indiana, Alabama, Georgia, all that. Like Texas Tech, in today's day and age of college football, they can play with anybody. They've got the talent that can play with anybody. And I can't wait to see it, man. I can't wait to see they win this game, clear path to the Big 12 championship, clear path to the college football playoff, to see them go up against some of those big boys. So I'm taking Texas Tech to win and cover the 10.5 in this game.
There you go. What's the total at? I should know, but I haven't looked.
While Tyler's looking that up, I'm gonna go and give my game prediction here too, Josh.
Okay.
Same thing as Tyler. We talked about this, he and I, yesterday. Before it ticked up to 10.5, I got it at 9.5 this week. It was one of the first bets I made of the week. I'm on Texas Tech minus 9.5. I just think matchup wise, this is a tough matchup for BYU to beat BYU and Utah. A Kalani Sitake coached BYU team and a Kyle Whittingham coached Utah team. You've got to be physical on the line of scrimmage and be able to match up with them physically. You saw Texas Tech go on the road at Utah and honestly punk them at the line of scrimmage. And
Absolutely.
This Texas Tech team is built from the inside out along of both sides of the line of scrimmage on the O-line and the D-line. And I just think, man, that crowd in Lubbock, Bear Bachmeier's had a really good season, but this will be the best defense that he's faced. The game's not in Provo. That defensive line and Shield Wood in that group, I think, is going to get after Bear Bachmeier. I think they're going to be able to slow down that BYU running game. BYU's strength is running the football. That is Texas Tech's strength on defense. So I just think, again, the matchup is tough here for BYU. And then again, we've talked a ton about this Texas Tech's defense here today. Mac Lepich's Texas Tech offense with Baron Morton at quarterback is also very explosive. They've got 4 guys that's got 4+ touchdowns, over 400 yards receiving. Both tailbacks are really good in the passing game and the receiving game as well. So yeah, I just think Texas Tech's ability to be explosive and to be balanced on offense and their ability to slow down the running game on defense is going to be too much for BYU. I like Tyler's analogy there and the comparison that he used to the Cincinnati-Utah game last week. I think Texas Tech wins this game by 2 touchdowns plus, and I think they cover the 9.5. So, again, I'm not just saying that because you're on here with us. Tyler and I talked about this yesterday as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if I had to give a score prediction, I might go something like 34-16, something like that.
Yeah, that would be the under because the total is 52.5.
Yeah, well, there you go. I think the under's probably realistic just because of, both defenses are pretty good.
Yeah.
We do have an edge, but if you look where we have the edge and it's running the ball and, the clock's going to be ticking a little bit more. And so time of possession, might be a little bit slower game, especially 11 a.m. kickoff. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope we win 65-7, but I think BYU they're a great team. They're a good team. They're a well-coached team, disciplined. They're playing great ball. I just think we are a fantastic team, and we're going to cover and win this game and move on to the next ones and hopefully finish out this season the right way, and then we'll see what happens. It's funny because the big debate in our group text right now is, would we rather host a first-round playoff game or get a first-round bye? It's like just the absolute arrogance of us right now as fans. But we are drinking all the Tech Kool-Aid, and we're loving it.
Yeah. Love it, man. Well, appreciate you coming on once again. Tell everybody what you got going on here in the fall.
Man, it's pretty slow for us right now. We'll play a few shows here and there this time of year, but typically I like to take a break in November, December from a lot of touring. We've got a few shows this month, and then I'm got vacation with my family for Thanksgiving for a couple weeks, and then pretty slow December. It's pretty light, but next year we'll start touring around again. And so anybody that wants to come see us, we'd love you to check out our tour at joshabbottband.com, and we'll see you when we see you. We'll get back in the studio next year, probably in February, and start cranking out some more new tunes next year and just doing the thing. But right now, just kind of leaning into the time of the year, and hopefully going to get in a deer stand and hang out with my kids a little bit and just do the thing. Go to some Texas Tech football games. I've already got December 6th locked in my calendar. And that's the Big 12 championship.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Good deal. Appreciate it, Josh. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Number 9, Oregon at number 20, Iowa in Kinnick Stadium. Iowa City, 3:30 on CBS. Iowa coming in 6.5-point dogs. I did look up the weather for this one. And I mentioned it in our intro to the show. 42 degrees and rain at kickoff is what we're expecting, which, Oregon played in that a couple weeks ago against Wisconsin, and everyone talked about it because not a lot of people watched that game and they wondered why it was 21-7. Okay, we had one rain game for the Ducks, and it didn't go so well. Like they weren't so impressive. So now they got to go on the road, and they got to face the 5th-ranked team in defensive yards per play. And they've done it against a much tougher schedule. You look at Oregon and their defensive yards per play. They are 2nd, but only 25th in opponent adjusted run D. So because of the strength of schedule they played, it just hasn't gone noticed a lot. We'll say that. The Ducks are still the Ducks, though, man. They still, everyone knows they are a solid program. Interestingly enough, over the past month in game graders, on Pick 6 Previews game graders, Iowa's been the better team. They've graded out better over the past month, opponent adjusted, than the Ducks. So we've already seen Iowa welcome in one top 5 team this year in Indiana, and that was a 20-15 game. It really kind of stifled Indiana's offense for the most part in that game. We saw Indiana go to Oregon. We saw them do what they did in Eugene. So can Iowa make it the same type of game?
I think they can. I think that Iowa's defense, big games in Iowa City in weather conditions like this, we've seen it for how many years now, man, with Phil Parker, with this defense, that, again, the famous saying that I love to put on Twitter in the games like this, welcome to the hell known as Iowa football. They just absolutely lock you in that torture chamber of theirs and make you play their style of game, make you play their type of football. And so obviously the contrast of styles here is going to be just fascinating to watch. I know Iowa's not necessarily as much of the 3 yards and cloud of dust that they were there for so long, but they still, they're in today's modern type of college football. They are. And obviously Oregon, we know with that Will Stein offense, they want to get the ball on the perimeter quickly to those athletes, a lot of short passes, a lot of the quick game, and they want to allow those athletes to work in space. So the biggest question for me on that is obviously, can Iowa defensively, can they tackle in space with that speed and athleticism and the athletes that Oregon's going to be putting on the field? That's number one, because obviously if they don't do that, then they don't stand a chance. And then the second part is again, Oregon they get the ball out so quick. There's a reason why Dante Moore hasn't been sacked a ton this year. Number one, they've got a really good offensive line, but number two, they just that style of offense that they run. When you watch Oregon play, they get the ball out quick. They're not sitting there dropping back and 7-step drops and throwing it deep down the field. They're not doing that a lot. So can Iowa just keep everybody in front of them and not allow the explosive plays on missed tackles? The number two, obviously, Iowa's got to be able to generate some offense, man. Again, Oregon's defense is very solid. They're not necessarily the best defense in the country. They're still a really good defensive team. And they've got dudes on that side of the ball as well. DC Tosh Lupoy's done a really good job there in Eugene. Can Iowa generate offense? Because I don't know, man, that we've seen Dante Moore yet this year be the type of quarterback that's going to sit there and just turn the ball over a bunch. And, Iowa's been one of those teams. They just feast off other teams' mistakes. They force you to make mistakes. They don't make mistakes. They're always one of the least penalized teams in college football. So, again, they're not going to beat themselves. And it's the definition of, again, a defensive, conservative style of football team that just doesn't make mistakes and make you make mistakes. So can they somehow force Oregon into making mistakes? But again, what's going to be fascinating here is, I just think the way that Iowa plays, it almost forces you to play their style of football. Because I think you get to the point to where you feel like that, okay, for example, let's just say if Oregon early in this game, they established okay, they're not scoring on us. We don't think they can score on us. So they take less chances on offense and they're maybe not as aggressive offensively because they know that the only chance that team's got to score is if we give them if we make mistakes and give them short fields and turn the football over. And it forces you to almost play like a conservative style as well, which we know that's not the style of football that Oregon plays. It's not under Will Stein. So, yeah, man, the style of play and the way that Iowa could possibly dictate this game could be interesting. Do you think that Iowa defensively is athletic enough to hold up in space against these Oregon athletes on offense?
Oh, that's the thing, man. When Oregon came in the Big Ten, you would wanted to see them play against teams like this and in environments like this, but we're always worried, okay, are their athletes going to just out athlete teams like Iowa or Wisconsin or whoever? Wisconsin's kind of
by the way,
trouble.
I think you're going there. They've had trouble with Wisconsin, man.
They have trouble with Wisconsin. Indiana, Indiana's got a different type of athlete than they had 2 years ago when Oregon came in the conference. But that was one of our concerns with Oregon, hosting Indiana earlier this year is are they going to be just too fast for them? That was not the case. Again, you want to look back on that Oregon Penn State game. Okay, we all thought Penn State was something completely different than they turned out to be. They still were the number 2 team. They still had a really good defense. Still have a really good defense. And for the first half, it was 3-3?
Yeah.
They again, that was another case we were talking about where Penn State forced Oregon to play that type of game.
Yep. And I think too, when you're on the road, obviously you sometimes take a little bit more of a conservative approach because you don't want to get to the point to where you're getting behind, making mistakes, and things snowball on you. This is of any big game this week in any of the P4 matchups, this is by far the most contrasting of styles that we get to see. You brought up a great point there. When the Pac-12 schools joined the Big Ten, I couldn't wait to see the Lincoln Riley USC offenses. And it was funny. I remember when that happened, we started this podcast together 3 years ago that we specifically talked about, I can't wait to see Oregon go to Kinnick at Iowa. All the teams that were in the Big Ten, that was the one specific team that we brought up because of the major contrast in styles and how many times we've seen for how many years that this Iowa bunch, when they get you in Iowa City, that their style of play just dictates the game. That crowd gets into it, and you find yourself looking up going, why can't we move the football? Why can't we score? Why are we sitting here in the fourth quarter with 10 times better athletes than that team across the field from us, and we're in a one-possession game?
Yeah, so over the past year and a half plus that this new Big Ten, we talked about that contrasted styles. Does any game come to mind where the team with better athletes actually had a ton of success over a Wisconsin and Iowa, a Nebraska, some of those slow slogging teams that play really good defense? It feels like every time these type of teams match up and as a contrast of styles, that defense always plays out. They might not always win the game, but they slow it down, like a 16-13 Wisconsin game last year or 21-7 this year. They always seem to styles make fights, right? Styles make fights, and they always seem to lure the USCs and the Oregons into their type of game.
That's a great point, man. I mean, honestly, but again, like you just mentioned, it's not one of the Pac-12 schools. The only game I can think of where the other team just looked like they were stuck in mud and didn't look like they belong, like their athletes didn't belong on the field with the other team's athletes, was the Indiana-Illinois game. But
Sure.
then Illinois the next week plays against Lincoln Riley's USC team, and what do they do?
Mhm. Yeah.
They beat them, and they looked. And
Yeah.
again, that score wasn't as close as what that game indicated. Like Illinois, like they they were the much better team that day
Yeah.
against USC. I mean, Oregon needs to be able to run the football, which is really hard to do against a Phil Parker Iowa defense. But they need to be able to run the football because that's going to help them obviously set up things in the passing game. And can Gronowski, can this Iowa team, do you see them being able to produce anything offensively, man? Because I don't.
Maybe they've been holding something back, but I mean, it's a Kirk Ferentz coach team. Like he's pretty close to the vest. Gronowski hasn't even thrown for 1,000 yards yet, and it's November. He's got 11 rushing touchdowns. So we will use his legs. It kind of worries me a little bit. I mean, we saw him against Iowa State. They had trouble there. Obviously, they only put up 13 points against Indiana. Dan Lanning's from the Kirby Smart School of Hard Knocks and School of Disrespect. Is he going to take that ninth ranking in the CFP, and somehow twist it and use it? Send these guys out on the road, just like he did at Penn State, into a tough environment. He looked like he was tripping out on cocaine after that game in a post-game interview. Like maybe they're a team this year where they're just completely more focused on the road. I don't know.
I was going to bring that up in my game prediction on here, that I think that the worst thing that could have happened to Iowa in this situation was that I promise you Dan Lanning is playing the disrespect card that Oregon's ranked at 9th right now. That was bulletin board material for the Ducks. Now, what does that mean when you actually kick the game off? Probably nothing. But as far as like the focus and everything going into the game, I definitely think that can help Oregon in this spot. We're talking about Iowa too offensively. I mean, how about just again? I know that some of this is set up by the defense and all that, but still, I'm just talking about the points they put on the board as a team. 41 against Minnesota the last time out 2 weeks ago. They put up 25, which is pretty solid for Iowa in a Big Ten game against Penn State. 37 at Wisconsin. We saw this Oregon team struggle against Wisconsin. And then, of course, the 20-15 game against Indiana. But still, there's Indiana dropping 50 burgers on about everybody they play, and they only score 20 at Iowa. And that touchdown late that Elijah Surratt had on that
13,
long touchdown
a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, I definitely think that this game will be dictated by Iowa's style. I just don't. I'm going to go back to it again. I just don't think that you can play them. They almost won't they almost beg for you to go ahead. Please come here and try to sling it all over the place, whatever like that. Let us get our hands on the ball.
Yeah.
Let our defense get a chance to turn you over, type deal.
So spread 6.5. Which way you lean him?
I'm going to do the cop out answer, but I mean, this is really what I feel. I don't have a best bet in this game. I do think that Iowa's going to drag Oregon into the deep end of the deep, dark waters there in Iowa City, and they're going to have to make them play their game. But I think Oregon's going to find a way to win this game, and it'll be close. It'll be ugly, or as some people say, it'll be this beautiful Iowa Big Ten football in Iowa City with the cold and wet and the rain. But I think the Ducks will find a way to win this game, and Iowa covers.
I do have a best bet in this game. I'm going to take Iowa plus 6.5. Give me the points. I don't think it's going to touch 7. I don't think Vegas is going to let it touch 7. If anything, I think it's going to go down a little bit to maybe 5.5. I think the odds makers have a ton of respect for Iowa.
Yep.
And they look at the power ratings of Oregon, and they still have a ton of respect for Iowa. And Iowa too, they're creeping up there in the power ratings. They're top 20 power ratings, and most it's not just an Iowa team that's going to go 11-1 in the Big Ten West anymore and play Michigan State to a 13-10 Big Ten championship game or something like that.
Yep.
Like you said, they've been putting up a lot of points. Again, against their tougher opponents, they have struggled. So I think it's going to be a slogfest. I think it's going to be. I think the rain could help them. I think the cold weather could help them. Kirk Ferentz has pulled off many upsets before, but I think Iowa stays within the number. I'm going to take Iowa plus 6.5 in this game. Number 11, Texas A&M on the road at number 22, Missouri. Missouri currently 7-point home dogs, 3:30 ABC kickoff. Obviously, the big news out of Columbia is Bo Pribula is out, and Matt Zollers takes over. And we saw him come in, third quarter of the Vandy game, and honestly looked pretty good. And we talked, as soon as we saw him throw the ball, we talked about it on our live show a couple nights ago, like he is the better pure passer.
Yep.
And he's had 2 weeks to prepare. Now, I know Mike Elko and that defense have had 2 weeks to prepare for him, and they've got a little bit of game film there. But, buddy, Eli Drinkwitz with 2 weeks to prepare at home, getting disrespected. And Mizzou's still in this thing. Like they're still, they've this is a playoff game, and this is do or die, backs against the wall, wounded tiger mode. They're going up against a juggernaut, though, in our mind.
Yep.
Aggies are top 10 in offensive yards per play. They're 5th in net expected points added. So they just are rolling opponents. I mean, they got that win against Notre Dame. They played really, really well on the road. I know their scores look close against Arkansas, but it was a touchdown late in that game. The game at LSU that kind of ended up driving Brian Kelly out of Baton Rouge. That was a pretty impressive win still in our book. I mean, that's like Oregon beating Penn State, right? I mean, it's really impressive to go into Tiger Stadium at night and beat any type of LSU team. So I'm anxious to see what Marcel Reed and the boys do on the road, and if they can run the ball effectively against this Missouri defense, because that is one thing. If Missouri's defense can keep them in this game and keep that rookie quarterback, and I say rookie, he's not a rookie, but keep that rookie quarterback in there and in the game until the end. You know how it is when ranked teams, top 5 teams go on the road, it's getting tight at halftime. Oh shoot, man! Like it's still 1 possession game late in the third, 1 possession game in the fourth. Start playing a little tighter. You got Marcel Reed.
We saw it with Alabama. We saw it with Alabama at Mizzou earlier this year. Like they dominated the stat line in the first half, and then you look up early in the third quarter, and you're like, it's a tie ball game.
Yeah, and we've seen Marcel Reed not be the most accurate. Ty Simpson had a couple turnovers in that game, so I think it's going to be a game that a lot of people are probably going to overlook because Pribula's not playing, but I think they should definitely tune into this one.
Yeah, man, I just think there's still too many people they just don't give any respect to Mizzou. They don't take them serious, and shame on them for feeling that way and thinking that way. This is a really good football team, a really physical football team. They're built. Their defensive line is legit. They got 2 really good edge rushers that can get after the quarterback. Really good wide receivers. Drink's done a fantastic job there at Mizzou. Ahmad Hardy's one of the best running backs in the country. But let's just start with the matchup. What I'm fascinated to see here is Mizzou's strength of their entire team is their defensive front. Their defensive line is very problematic and can get after the quarterback and can cause some problems. The issue with that is unfortunately, up to this point, Texas A&M is one of the best in the country with their offense. They have one of the best offensive lines in the country. The Maroon Goons going into the season was supposed to be one of the best in the country, and they have been exactly that. Marcel Reed, obviously, too, with his ability to escape and his ability with his dual threat ability. I think that negates a little bit of what Mizzou does best with their defensive line. And again, living here in the state of Missouri, around a lot of Missouri fans, I'm not going to say where I live. Thank you, Cole Frederick. They constantly talk about that the weakness of this team is their secondary. And you can expose their secondary if you can throw the football. Obviously, like Vandy.
We talked about the Alabama game.
Exactly, the Alabama game. When you watch that game, when you go back and watch, I know that game ended up being a 3-point game. And this one could end up being the same. When you go back and watch that game, you see black jerseys on the field that day giving, like they're almost not even in the screen on the snap because they're giving so much cushion. And as great as Alabama's receiving core is, they are not as explosive, nor is any other wide receiver core in all of college football by the numbers than Mario Craver and KC Concepcion.
Buckeyes fans are going to like you for that one.
No, I didn't say they're the best receiving core. I said explosive. The most explosive wide receiver core by the numbers is Texas A&M this year, as far as yards after catch and yards after contact, all that stuff. But yes, the best wide receivers in the country are Ohio State, Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. I'm not going to. They're that for sure. But so I think that Mizzou has to hold their own on that matchup up front. I don't expect them to just go and sack Marcel Reed 8 or 9, a bunch of times or something like that. They've got to be able to hold their own, hold up against the run, and I'm not even really that worried about them putting a bunch of pressure on Marcel Reed. They just need to be able to slow down that running game and be able to hold their own in that matchup, and their defensive line needs to win a lot of those matchups. That's the strength of that football team.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, tough ass, man, he's a former 5-star, Matt Zollers. He's one of the highest rated recruited quarterbacks in the country coming out of high school. Your first start is against a team that leads the nation in sacks and tackles for loss, and Cassius Howe is one of the best edge rushers in all of college football, and Mike Elko is one of the best defensive coaches in all of college football. That Mizzou offensive line's got their work cut out for him. And Zollers, obviously, while he is, we don't know this to be a fact. I just think and believe in my own personal opinion from what I've watched in just high school tapes and what I've watched of Bo Perbula so far and what we watched in the 23 pass attempts that Matt Zollers had against Vandy. Zollers is a better pure passer, like you said. He's just not as good as an athlete as Bo Perbula. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have the experience that Perbula has, but somebody said this the other day, and I said, hold on a minute. It's not like Perbula's some 3-year vet.
Yeah, he's 7-game starter, right?
7-game starter. And he's only started what? Let's see, Missouri's played 8 or 6-2. I think they've played 5 SEC games up to this point, total. So he's played in 4.5 SEC games. So it's not like he's some seasoned vet by any means. So I am interested to see if Mizzou can keep him upright. That receiver core with Kevin Coleman Jr., I mean, he's one of the better wide receivers in the SEC that not enough people talk about. Another transfer from Mississippi State, just like Mario Craver at Texas A&M. But Kevin Coleman Jr. and Marquise Johnson are really solid receivers.
And how about that tight end?
Oh, dude. Lightfoot.
Where's that tight end from?
You're going to make me say it, aren't you? He's from this place called, it's from this beautiful place. Hey, Cole Frederick, this is for you, buddy. He's from this beautiful place in Missouri called O'Fallon, Missouri, which is where your boy here lives. That's for him. Norfleet's he's a stud, bro. He is. He's one of the better tight ends in the SEC. So he can create some mismatches if they can get him the ball. I don't think this is a situation though where you can line up with Ahmad Hardy and just run it right at this Texas A&M defense. I think they're going to either throw the football a little bit to open up the passing game some. But dude, again,
they gotta hit explosives.
Oh, absolutely. Got to be able to hit some explosive plays. And then they've got to limit the explosive plays on the defensive side of the ball with Craver and with Mario Craver and KC Concepcion.
Yeah.
So do you think that Mizzou at home, where they have been a problem for a lot of teams in the SEC since joining the SEC, can they upset Texas A&M straight up?
Can they? Yeah. I think there's a shot. I think there's I don't know if I would probably put 25-30% chance.
Hey, we're doing upset meter here in a little bit. How do you want to do that? 1 to 10 or 1 to 5? How do you want to do it? It's your call.
Yeah, we do 1 to 10. I'd put A&M on a 7 upset meter.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I would watch out for me. Like
actually,
you said,
I tend to agree with you.
I don't have a bet in this game, but we'll just go ahead and say the way I would lean in this game, if I had to make a bet, I would lean on Mizzou +7. I would take the 7 points. I trust them to keep it close. If it's a 10 or 13-point game, maybe it's a late touchdown to get inside the number. But I do think that if they, like you said, if they keep Zollers upright, if they are able to run the ball at all with some success, get the crowd behind them a little bit. I do think that if they can hit a couple explosive plays, because we've seen, that A&M defense has improved over the course of the year, but we have seen them be susceptible to explosive plays against some of the better teams that they played this year. So one or two of those, you get the crowd into it. The defense comes out when Reed comes back and gets the ball. You get a 3 and out real quick. Keep that A&M defense on the field for a long time. I think there's a recipe to an upset here, but I without Prbula, in the starting lineup, I don't know if I'm going to get a dud from Zollers or if he's going to come out and be like, we're going to say, why the heck was Bo Prbula even starting over this guy in the first place? Like, it's just too much unknown for me to bet it.
Yep. I would love to take those 7 points with Missouri. I really want to, but same as you. We have it. I mean, it's hard for me to take a true freshman quarterback in his first start against this Texas A&M wagon and bet my hard-earned money on it. But I agree with you that if I had to place a bet on this game, I would take the points with Mizzou. I just want to give one little nugget here that you actually were the one that made me uncover this when you brought up the guy on the 3-man front show there in Birmingham released that ridiculous thing today about the Big Ten's bottom third is 3 and whatever against, and you looked up and said that the SEC, the bottom third of the SEC basically is the exact same.
4 and 25, yeah.
4 and 25, and their only wins are against each other, against the other bottom third teams.
Yep.
That made me look. I don't know why. It just made me look at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
And I was surprised when I saw this. Texas A&M is 5-0 in SEC play right now. Their 5 wins are against the bottom third of the SEC, all 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
The teams that they've beaten in the SEC are a combined 6 and 20 in SEC play. That's LSU. They're 2 and 3 in SEC play. Florida, they're 2 and 3 in SEC play.
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi State's 1 and 4 in SEC play. Auburn's 1 and 5 in SEC play, and Arkansas's 0 and 5 in SEC play.
Yep.
So as good as Texas A&M, they're good. 2 things can be true at once. A&M has beaten up on the bottom tier of the SEC, and they're a really dang good football team. Like, those can be true. I am not taking anything away from Texas A&M. I had them ranked number 2 in like my own poll. So again, that's how good I think they really are. But this will be one of the better teams in the tougher spots that they've been in so far in SEC play, going on the road against this Mizzou team. And for anybody that wants to laugh at that, you're just exposing yourself as a casual by telling us that you think that Mizzou is not a very good football team. Mizzou is a good football team, and I think they're going to give Texas A&M all they want in this game. I'll take Texas A&M to win the game, but I'll take Mizzou to cover.
Okay. Let's try to keep this next one short, all right?
Okay.
LSU at Alabama, number 4. I'm kidding. We don't have to keep it short. Oh. LSU at number 4, Alabama. Alabama coming in as 10-point favorites, down from the early look-ahead line of, I think, 12.5. Of course, this is a 7:30 ABC game that everyone is ticked off that Texas Tech and BYU is not in this slot. But Texas Tech and BYU apparently should just be grateful they even have a game on ABC, which nobody can watch on YouTube TV. So this is just it's a rivalry game, of course.
Huge rivalry game.
Both teams always get buys the week before, so they both always have 2 weeks to prepare. It's always kind of slotted in that first or second weekend in November. Funny thing is, I don't even know if they're playing next year with the new SEC schedule. So obviously the big storyline, Frank Wilson taking over as interim head coach for Brian Kelly. And you texted me, probably a week ago, maybe 8 days ago.
I texted you when they named him the interim coach.
When they named him the interim head coach, you said, I think this is going to be an all-out war. And I immediately texted back, I disagree, because I had just watched LSU play at home and get beat by 30 against Texas A&M. They just fired their coach. And then I started watching a little bit more videos, a little bit more press conferences of Frank Wilson, and the dude just seems like, he absolutely loves LSU, 500 times more than Brian Kelly ever wished he did. The players feel like, I mean, it feels like the players love him, feels like they want to win the game for him. They want to play well for him. And I think, just everything coming out, the players did not feel like that for Brian Kelly. And, obviously if you speak out on him, then he's going to bench you. So, now all the stuff coming out, Malik Neighbors is posting videos of kicking rocks and all this stuff. And I mean, he had a freaking Heisman Trophy quarterback playing with him. So it's a totally different vibe down at LSU. And again, this is another one that I'm already going to tell you I'm staying away from because I just you don't know what you're going to get. Like we've seen Kalen DeBoer off bye weeks play really, 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 really well. And I just think, I know LSU's defense has improved. And if this game was in Baton Rouge with Frank Wilson leading the team out there in Tiger Stadium, might be a little bit different feel, but because it's in Tuscaloosa, it's hard for me to gauge. I mean, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one, but it's just this one's tough for me, man.
I think this is going to be a classic LSU Alabama absolute, just again, war between these two teams. LSU is one of the more talented teams in all of college football, but they just didn't put it together this year. Going into the season, there was a reason why there were a lot of very big name people that cover this sport at a really high level that get paid a ton of money to cover the sport at a high level. Had LSU winning the national championship, had LSU in their Final Four, that is because of the talent profile of this football team and the staff that Brian Kelly had built around him. So if you think that Brian Kelly, and if you think that I'm going blank, offensive coordinator that just got fired.
Sloan.
Yeah, Joe Sloan. If you think that they were the problem, they're gone. And Blake Baker is still there, and a lot of these like Louisiana like guys like Frank Wilson and whatnot, they're there. And I mean, man, that talented roster that is again loaded with talent. I believe you're going to get the most inspired, best effort from that collection of talent this Saturday night.
All that's good and well, but like let's talk about the actual teams on the field because USC or LSU hasn't proved anything on the offensive side of the ball this year. Like,
nope.
If they could run the ball a little bit, I think they would have some success in this game because Alabama's 58th in opponent adjusted run D, like is not very good for Bama this year. LSU can't run the ball, or at least like they couldn't with Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan in charge. Maybe, like you said, maybe it's an inspired effort from that offensive line, but I don't know.
What offense is LSU? What offense is LSU going to run this week? What's their tendencies? What's their tendencies going to be this week?
And maybe that's a thing like you're talking about with the Florida State game. Like you called that one, how that was going to be a tough game to prepare for. What's Alabama preparing for LSU this week?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you're. Again, I'm not an X's and O's guru. I don't know what Alabama is prepping for from a tendency standpoint. Hey, when it's third down, what do you think they might run here? That's a lot. A lot of that goes into each game and whatnot. I have no idea. Like maybe they run the same stuff. I'm not sure. But again, I do know that LSU's team in general is extremely talented, and that this game in general, LSU fans that watch this video, check me on this. I would say that LSU fans, the majority of them, and LSU in general, the last 15 plus years would say their biggest rival is Alabama. And I don't even know that it's close, to be honest with you. I really don't. And I know that the Iron Bowl is a huge deal and the third Saturday in October is a huge deal, but there have been many years where this Alabama LSU game has meant a ton more, and it has made it an even bigger rivalry for Alabama. Not bigger than the Iron Bowl. I'm just saying like it is like it's up there with how this game and what this game means to these two teams and to these two fan bases. I've been to so many of these games at both places, and there's a different feeling in the air than other games when these two teams lock up. And the fact that LSU is basically just playing for pride and playing for LSU and all that in this game and has a chance to basically prove themselves against Alabama. And I've talked about this before on this podcast, man. There's certain games that you have heard Ed Orgeron actually said this when LSU one year when they were just booty, and they went to Tuscaloosa and pushed Alabama to the brink. That was a money game. There's a lot of NFL players on LSU's roster, a lot, ton. In games like this against other NFL talented players, they know that they go out and put good film on tape for NFL scouts that this could boost their draft stock or boost their interest in that team and things like that. And that is an absolute fact. That has been actually proven from NFL scouts and stuff that have talked about that and said that, yeah, when they go to certain games and watch you go up against, like an example, Caden Proctor, whether you believe it or not, is a projected first round pick by a lot of people. If edge rushers at LSU are out there whipping Caden Proctor's ass over and over and over again, and you're a projected third or fourth round pick, that might get you a little bit more of a look. If you're a really good corner and you're out there locking down Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams and some of those receivers, and you're a fringe second, third round pick, and they're there that night watching you just lock them down, yeah, that's the stuff that they look at. So, yeah, I just think you're going to get a really good effort out of LSU. Now, the only thing I'll say to that is Greg McElroy said this the other day on McElroy and Kublik, and I couldn't agree more. He was saying the same thing, that he thinks you're going to get the best effort that you've gotten out of LSU all year and getting the best version of them. What we don't know is, what is that? What is the best version of LSU? Is it still kind of booty? Because we saw them go to Clemson earlier in the year. At that time, we were like, man, what a win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Clemson can't beat me and you and 9 others right now, bro. So, like, how good is that win?
Yeah.
They go to Vandy. Like, I don't care what that score said. Vandy kicked their ass all over the field that day. They got absolutely boat raced, cheeks clapped by Texas A&M on their home field. So, like, all of the really good teams all the good teams that they're playing, they're getting dominated. And some of the dude, Florida threw 5 interceptions against LSU, and it was a 1-possession game.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the best effort is from LSU at this point.
Yeah.
And
I think,
go ahead.
I think
Go ahead.
I think the defense, they've got a lot of rangy cornerbacks, like you were talking about. The secondary is really good. I think they could have success there in stifling the passing game. Again, we talk about Alabama. Like, can they run the ball? Like, I don't know. I don't know if, like we talked about, like, they are just what they are this year. And, like,
hang on. I said the same thing about Texas going into that Vandy game, and all of a sudden they explode. But
we backed up stats with DeBoer, like his history of his running games, and they've never been better than 80th. And I just don't know about that LSU offense against the Bama D, against the crowd. Like, I just don't know, man. I mean, if Alabama goes out and loses this game as 10-point favorites at home, is that a bad loss for them?
Yeah, it's a bad loss. It's just a bad loss for. It's unfortunate. Again, same show I was listening to the other day, McElroy and Kublik. Kublik said this is the worst case scenario for Alabama. Not meaning that he thinks they're going to lose the game, but like if they come in there after that A&M game, Brian Kelly's still the coach and stuff like that. Like I would be sitting there saying Alabama's going to boat race them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would really feel that way.
Yeah.
Because of what's transpired and the whole effort stuff, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be a really highly contested, good football game. So, but to answer your question, yes, the optics of it, they're a double-digit favorite. I mean, the casuals around the country, all they're going to see is that LSU sucks. That they're not going to even remotely think about the fact that they're really talented or anything like that. They're just going to think they suck. And so Alabama losing to that team.
It's another double-digit favorite over an unranked team.
It is. And so on the Alabama part of it for their matchup, I am interested to see coming off a bye week. You just mentioned it earlier. Kalen DeBoer with extra time to prepare in his career outside of the Michigan Bowl game last year and outside of the Florida State game to start the season has been money.
Mm-hmm.
Like a great example last year against Georgia, they beat Georgia with extra time to prepare, had 2 bye weeks last year. And then they went to LSU last year and beat the absolute brakes off of them in Baton Rouge. Earlier this year, they already had a bye week. They beat Georgia again in Athens. He did the same stuff at Washington. They had bye weeks.
I'm so glad we're going to just 1 bye week next year.
Yeah, agreed. Because I mean, I don't like less football. Give me more. Give me more weeks with more football. And the same thing at Washington. Kalen DeBoer and this coaching staff was really dang good during the bye weeks. So there's that part trend that you've got to think of if you're backing LSU here. That Kalen DeBoer and this staff is really good with more time to prepare. Uh, Obviously, Alabama's passing game with Ty Simpson and this wide receiver core, but the strength of LSU really has been that that secondary. They've got good pass rushers and stuff. So, like, I mean, we've seen Alabama's offensive line once again be very suspect and blocking in general, whether that's pass blocking or whether that's run blocking. They've been very suspect at times, especially when they play teams that have really good pass rushers. And LSU does have that.
Mhm.
So, uh, again, it's just what does Alabama figure out in the bye week that can combat that? Uh, Alabama's defense has been playing really good overall, especially against the pass. They're one of the better pass defenses in college football. Alabama's one of the best teams in college football in the turnover margin. They're not turning the ball over a lot. They're turning you over a lot. I think Alabama's LSU's got some really good wide receivers. I think Alabama's secondary matches up great with those wide receivers. So from a matchup perspective, I do think that Alabama matches up really well with LSU. We've seen Garrett Nussmeier just like we did last year. He's constantly getting hit on plays. So I don't necessarily think that a coaching change just all of a sudden changes that LSU is just all of a sudden going to block better. So I think Alabama's going to be able to get some pressure on Nussmeier. So from a matchup perspective, I do think Alabama does match up well here. But I have a best bet in this game.
Okay, give it to us.
This is a monumental moment on this podcast. I bet LSU plus 10.5 against Alabama.
This has never happened before. You've never bet against Alabama.
I've never bet against Alabama on this podcast. I have not in 3 years. But I'm taking LSU plus 10.5 in this game. I think Alabama wins, but I think this is seriously an LSU Alabama classic. All the people making the jokes about that Alabama and LSU being in prime time at night won't be saying that anymore pretty quickly when this game starts, is how I feel about it.
1 to 10, what's the upset meter?
I'm not going to give a rookie score. I'm going to give a Dave Portnoy pizza score.
Okay.
7-9.
Wow, higher than A&M.
Yep.
Okay. Speaking of upset meter, let's talk about a handful of ranked teams that are playing some unranked teams. 4 of them are on the road. We're going to start with the home team. It's number 10 Notre Dame, controversial Notre Dame, playing at home against Navy, who just suffered their first loss last week to North Texas. Notre Dame 26.5 point favorites in this game, 7:30 on NBC.
Is that enough?
I've been pretty spot on Navy Notre Dame games. 2 years ago, first ever bet I gave out on this podcast. They were in Ireland, and
I backed you on that.
they won. It was like 20 points, and they won 42-3. Last year, it was like, Notre Dame's going to play Army. They're going to play Navy. They went to Baltimore or East Rutherford or wherever they played them last year and beat them by 38. Like, it's just kind of what they do. I think last week was probably best case scenario for Notre Dame, winning that game by 15. I mean, if you think about it, they missed 2 field goals and 2 extra points. Like, they left a lot of points out on the field. They still won by 15. And you got to know the coaches are just ripping them. They wanted that so bad. They wanted that win, but they could still throw that film on and be like, you outside of 194-yard touchdown run, you guys were awful on the offensive line. Couldn't block anybody. Jadarian Price, you fumbled again. You suck. Herman Boone, do not fumble my football, so all that stuff. Upset meter, this is a 1.2 for me.
Is a 0. Is a 0.
I mean, there's always a chance. I saw Navy, 2007 going to Notre Dame Stadium and beat them for the first time ever in triple overtime. So
if you fumble the football, I will break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts, and then you will run a mile. Yeah. Perfection. By the way, I can recite every word of that movie. So yeah, I'm giving it a 0, and maybe by the time we get to best bets, I'll give it. I'm debating whether to give Notre Dame. I'm all I can see in my mind is Marcus Freeman standing there against Army with the microphone in his face, and they're about to kick off. And they said, "What's the key to the game tonight, coach?" Violence.
Yep.
We must be the most violent team in this game.
I will say Notre Dame is on the road at Pitt next week.
They are. I don't think they're
Just
ever
something to
looking.
think about. Just
I don't
something
think
to
they're
think
looking.
about.
They're not overlooking the troops. But I do think that Notre Dame is going to get on Navy. I don't know if they cover the 26.5, but I'm leaning that they do.
Okay. Noon on Fox. Number 2, Indiana at Penn State. Indiana is going to be without their right guard, Drew Evans. Still don't know anything about Elijah Surratt or Aiden Fisher. Penn State, obviously, without Drew Aller for the rest of the season. They tried to put up a fight in the first half at Columbus that last week, ended up losing by 24. They've lost 5 in a row. This is basically their Super Bowl. They're trying to ruin seasons now. That's all they've got. What's your upset meter on this?
5.
Just a flat 5.
Flat 5. Wait, 5.7.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
dude. I listen. You just said it. This is their Super Bowl. We know that the talent that Penn State has on their roster. Penn State is almost like the Florida right now for me in the SEC. Florida with the roster that they put on the field against everybody that they play against, they really don't have to take a back seat talent-wise to just about anybody that they play, which is why you see them beating Texas. You see them pushing Georgia to the brink. You see them throwing 5 interceptions and still almost beating LSU. But for whatever reason, they just can't put it all together and they lose games. Penn State. Penn State from a talent perspective, they're not really different than Indiana. Indiana just a much better football team and a better coach team and a better staff and has better pieces. But the sum of all their parts are better than what Penn State is. So, I could see Penn State giving Indiana all they want. Honestly, I considered Penn State as the best bet. I've told you this since last year. Betting against Signetti in Indiana has become an off-limit thing for me. I will not do it.
Yeah.
That man wants to take your soul, and I'm almost to the point to where he almost wants to look into the camera and say, every one of you that decided to bet against us today, thank you for your money.
Yeah.
I stole all your lunch money. That's how he is in the game. So I'm not betting against him. So that's why it's not a best bet. But I can see Penn State giving Indiana a game for sure here.
It's almost to the point where you don't bet on them. You're just leaving money on the table. And
I agree. You laid 21 last week, and at one point I'm like, man, Tyler lays the wood here, 21-point road favorite, and Maryland's giving them a game. And the next score you see is 45 to whatever. I think Indiana wins the game, and it won't be shocking if Penn State gives them a fit.
Nah, I'm gonna give it a 2.7.
Okay.
2.7. I don't have any faith. If anything, I think Indiana will treat them just like they've treated every other redheaded stepchild in the Big Ten, and just slap them around a little bit. And sorry, we're getting real graphic here on the pod tonight.
Slap them around a little bit. I like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 2.7. Number 5, Georgia at Mississippi State, also at noon on ESPN. Georgia in a little bit of a sandwich spot in between the cocktail party and hosting the Longhorns next week. Mississippi State coming off their first SEC win, first SEC win for Jeff Lebby. So congrats to Jeff Lebby and the boys up there. Upset meter on this one, I am going to give it a 7.2. 7.2.
Okay.
It's currently a 9.5-point spread on FanDuel that I saw. And I'll go ahead and tell you, I took Mississippi State plus 9.5.
Because why wouldn't you though? Why wouldn't you?
I think they'll probably jump out to a lead because everybody does against Georgia, and I'll have an opportunity to take, Georgia minus 2.5, minus 3.5, try for a little middle there. So I just think, Mississippi State's played everybody well at home this year, and again, sandwich spot. Kirby's one of the best at keeping his guys focused, but I just think this is a dangerous spot for him.
I don't disagree, man. It's sandwiched in between the cocktail party and then Texas on deck. It's a definite trap spot. Mississippi State is, this is the stuff that fans that aren't fans of the SEC despise, but whatever. Like, they actually did prove themselves and beat Arizona State earlier this year. Mississippi State's a good football team, man. I mean, what Jeff Lebby's doing there, I've been on record saying this, and I'll say it again. His name will not be mentioned with any of these jobs, not a single one. I can't imagine what he would do with the resources and the quarterbacks that he would be able to get and the staff that he's obviously built at Mississippi State. I mean, dude, he's fighting with both arms tied behind his back and his legs tied together too. And he's still taking Tennessee to overtime, taking Texas to overtime, leading that game like they were, going to the swamp at Florida and should have won that game and didn't, beat Arizona State. So you're right, man. I mean, 9.5 points, that's a lot of points, man.
Yeah.
And I do think that they've got Georgia's attention because of what they've done against other teams. But honestly, at this point, I just think you can just go ahead. Like, that's not a bad bet, dude. Because I mean, at this point, like, I think you can just go ahead and expect, no matter who Georgia plays, it's going to be a close game.
Yeah,
at this point, because they're not the elite team they used to be. So upset meter for me, I'm gonna go. It's over 50%. I'm gonna go for about 5'7".
5'7". Okay.
Yep.
Number 1, Ohio State at Purdue. Poor old Purdue. 30.5-point dogs at home. 1:00 kick on BTN. Not even really a sandwich spot for the Buckeyes. We just haven't talked about them in a long time. I was like, I figured I'll throw them in here. We could talk for about 60 seconds. Julian Sainz leading the Heisman race right now on the odds. They got the 2 best wide receivers, Bo Jackson and James Peoples, and CJ Donaldson are doing work on the ground. Defense seems to be playing lights out.
They've got two of the best 4 or 5 linebackers in all of college football. They got the best defensive back in all of college football.
They're allowing like 6 points a game, 7 points a game, something like that. I mean, is there any on the scale of 1 to 10 any hope for Barry Odom here at all? After they showed out well at Michigan last week, but was that like did they just expend all their effort?
Honestly, that's probably the worst thing they could have done. Maybe the motivation for Ohio State is they gave Michigan a game. Let's go show them how you beat Purdue. Actually, how you beat this Purdue team. Like, you know, I mean, that could be. No, I just think that because Ohio, like, we know that Purdue has upset Ohio State in the past in a big game situation. At Purdue, I just think that Ohio State's defense is so good that they're not going to lose to any of these bottom tier teams, because at the end of the day, if Julian Sayin goes out there and struggles, if he does what he has not shown all year long, that he'll turn the football over or something, he hasn't done it all year. He's so efficient, accurate, complete, all that stuff. Dude, that defense is not going to give up points.
And Purdue's running back just went out for the year, Devin Mockabee. I was like the only guy who didn't transfer from Purdue is out for the season. So that's tough. So it's going to be a 0.2 for me.
I'm going to go 0.00.
So Navy and Purdue, you guys heard it here first. No shot.
No shot.
No shot.
No shot.
Last one, number 24, Washington, traveling up to Camp Randall. You got a 4:30 Eastern kick. So the sun will be setting late second quarter, second half. If it gets tight, it'll be night. It's 40 degrees at kick, a chance of rain, 11.5-point dogs for the Badgers. Luke Fickell, I mean, I know they gave him a vote of confidence, but he's still probably fighting for his job.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, gosh, I don't, this is the one I don't really know where to go with. I'm going to say 4.4 out of 10.
I'm going to say 6.2. And the reason why I'm going that high is I'll use my phrase that I love to use, the home road dichotomy.
Yeah.
Washington is just, of all of the teams that are in the top 25 in college football right now, they are the number 1 home road dichotomy team in all college football. They literally, I think their only home loss in like the last however many years is Ohio State this year. And they're honestly booty on the road. Like, they got blasted by Michigan recently on the road. And they were getting their butts kicked at Maryland on the road and had to come back and win that game late. So Wisconsin plus 11.5 was a team that I really wanted to take as a best bet. And I've just gotten to the point, man, I just don't know that I can – I don't know. I just don't know what I'm getting with their psyche if they're going to come out and give the effort to go win this game. But I'll give it a little over a 6 for Wisconsin to step up and possibly upset Washington at home. Speaking of upsets.
It's that time. It's upset alert time. We'll try to make these quick for you. We'll try to make best bets quick. We know you kept you here a long time, so we appreciate you tuning in. Hit that subscribe button right now. Hit the like button right now for us. Upset alerts. You want me to go first? Is that what
Yeah, you go first. Yep.
Okay, I mentioned them earlier in the episode, and I'm just gonna go ahead and take them to win outright. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna say the Hawkeyes get it done. I'm gonna say they prove that the Oregon Ducks may be the biggest fraud. Everyone's talking about BYU. Everyone's talking about Virginia. Maybe Oregon is the biggest fraud in the CFP rankings right now. I just don't know. I know they've played in tougher environments back in the Pac-12 with Utah and going up to Washington. They've done that a lot, but Kinnick's a different environment, man. It's a different environment. It's a different defense they're going to be facing. I think it's going to be tough for them. I think it's going to be a really close game, and I think if it's a close game, I think Iowa's got a chance to pull it off. So I'm going to take Iowa on the money line.
Iowa on the money line to upset the Ducks. Well, that would put the college football playoff in a interesting place there with the Big Ten.
With the Big Ten race in an interesting place.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. All right, man. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up to the rent. I'm going to put Duke on upset alert.
Nice.
And UConn getting 9.5 from Duke. And I think UConn can beat Duke straight up.
Yep.
And obviously, I'm going to take them plus 9.5, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line. Joe Fagnano, the quarterback at UConn, 22 tutties on the year, 22 touchdown passes. Tyler, how many interceptions does our boy Joe Fagnano have on the year?
Big fat donut.
0 picks on the year. He'll throw 5 after I just said that. Cam Edwards, running back for UConn, 6 yards.
Running back, y'all.
Running back. How many remember the Titans record? That's the most we've ever given. Cam Edwards, 6 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns on the year. And Tyler, they got a wide receiver in Skylar Bell that had 994 yards. We've still got multiple games to play. So our boy Skylar Bell, barring injury, is going to be well over 1,000 yards on the year. 11 touchdown catches on the year. So Jim Moore Jr. is going to have the FBS independent UConn Huskies fired up to play Duke at home. And Tyler, what do we call this spot? What do we call this spot for Duke?
The old devil in a trap spot.
It is the old devil in a trap spot, the sandwich spot. Duke, I don't care what Clemson's record is. Don't care. Duke going on the road to Death Valley Mid and beating little old Clemson at the very end of the game like they did in dramatic fashion. Now they got to go on the road to Stores, Connecticut, to the Rent. And Tyler, who does Connecticut have? I mean, who does Duke have on deck?
Duke gets to welcome into Wallace Wade Stadium the old number 14 Virginia Cavaliers.
That, my friends, is what we call a good old sandwich spot, trap game, whatever you want to call it. So, Jim Moore Jr. and the UConn Huskies have already beat one ACC team this year, and they beat Syracuse. So,
they lost to Syracuse. They beat Boston College.
Sorry.
Lost Syracuse in overtime.
Yes, Syracuse in overtime, but beat BC. And that was actually when Syracuse still had their quarterback.
Yep.
Earlier in the year.
Played well.
So, I'm going to take UConn plus 9.5. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line for them to beat Duke straight up at the Rent this weekend.
Okay. Best bets time. I'm 36-32 after a rough week last week. Lance has made 3 less bets than me because he's 36-29. So he's got a little bit better winning percentage there. I'm still in the green, but we're getting pretty close to that like 52.3% mark of beating the spread there.
We're very much in the green on the money because of our money line upset alert
for sure.
wins that we've had this year.
For sure. All right, I'm taking UConn plus 9.5 and on the money line with you. I'm taking Iowa plus 6.5 and on the money line on my upset pick of the week. I talked about Mississippi State plus 9.5. I didn't get Texas Tech at 9.5. I got them at 10. So I'll take Texas Tech plus 10. But as you heard earlier in the episode with Josh Abbott, which again, can't thank that guy enough for coming on. We think that this could be an ugly one for BYU. So we think the Red Raiders could win this one by multiple touchdowns. I'm gonna go. I don't know what's going on with this line, and I haven't really dug too deep into it. But I've got to take Memphis minus 3.5 against Tulane at home on a Friday night, and especially after Memphis just kicked my teeth in on Halloween when I bet Rice against them.
Memphis is one of the best teams against the spread under Ryan Silverfield the last couple of years.
I don't know what's going on, and maybe Brendan Lewis is on the questionable report again. But I mean, this is opened up at 6.5, and even I thought that was low. So I'm going to take them at 3.5, and I think I don't know. I don't know. I got a feeling about Memphis at home, as I always do, and obviously they beat USF earlier in the year, and I think USF's better than Tulane. So I think Friday Night Lights in Memphis. I think that'll be good. Earlier in the week, I took TCU minus 5.5. They're hosting the struggling Iowa State Cyclones, who have lost, I think, 4 or 5 in a row. TCU's coming off a bye. Iowa State's coming off that game where they lost to BYU. I think Josh Hoover is going to be able to do some work against that Iowa State defense. And I think that they're going to kind of just show time off. Time off did well for the Horned Frogs. Last bet, again, I don't know why Clemson is laying points again, man. And it scares the heck out of me that it's Florida State, too, on the other side. Because outside of Alabama, they haven't really shown much at all. I got to take Florida State plus 2.5. And this game got shifted to the ACC network. Dabo, like, no matter what he says, what he's been saying, it's not doing anything to get his guys fired up. Defense still isn't playing well. I think Tommy Castellanos could have a really good night. I've got to take points if you're going to give them with me to a Clemson team that has surprisingly lost like 6 games in a row at home. Like they haven't won a home game since like last November sometime. So they used to be unbeatable at Memorial Stadium. So give me Florida State, give me Mike Norvell, give me Tommy Castellanos to go in there and get the upset.
All right, man. So here, I'm going to give you the rundown here. I've already given you LSU plus 10.5. That was a monumental moment for this podcast. I know. Bet against Alabama in a game. So I'll take LSU plus 10.5 in that game. I will take Texas Tech minus 9.5. It was actually the first bet that I made this week. So I took the Red Raiders guns up minus 9.5 for our boy Josh Abbott. And I think the Red Raiders are going to win that game by 2 touchdowns plus. I think it's just a bad matchup for BYU. I'm going another under this week in a Vandy game. Got burnt last week. I'm going back to it one more time. And it's not just because of Vandy. It's actually more so because, Tyler, there are 3 teams in college football who have given up 24 points or less, who have not given up more than 24 points in a game all year long. Those teams are Ohio State, the Indiana Hoosiers, and who?
The Auburn Tigers.
The Auburn Tigers. So I'm betting
Vandy's going to put up 38 this week.
Yeah, probably. I'm betting on the Auburn defense in this game, led by new interim head coach, defensive coordinator DJ Durkin. And I think so under 46 in that game. I've obviously just gave you a minute ago the upset alert. UConn, the Huskies, plus 9.5. And Joe Fagnano, I love saying his name. He just seems like a UConn quarterback. So plus 9.5, little sprinkle on the money line. Once again, we match up all these games on the board, and we match up in a random game together. I've got TCU.
Yep.
Minus 6. I got him at 6. I know it's a 6.5 right now, but I got him at 6. And then one last one. A team that's quietly playing some good football right now. The line's actually moving against me a little bit, but I'm just not going to look at the line movement and trust my eyeballs on this game. And Noah Fafita and the Arizona Wildcats have been playing some solid football. And I'm going to take Arizona currently minus 4.5 at home against Kansas in the desert. Kansas has not been playing as good a football here lately. They got you know what the medicine is in the Big 12 to not playing good football, Tyler? The perfect
What?
medicine. It's called a good old shot of Oklahoma State. That's what it is, and that's what Kansas got last week. So this ain't Oklahoma State. I'm going to take Brent Brennan and Noah Fafita and the Arizona Wildcats to get it done, -4.5 against Kansas at home. And that's all I've got. No, the last few weeks, I've had at least 8 best bets every week. I didn't have as many this week. So maybe we'll keep the winning streak going this week, man.
I got a good feeling about this week. I got a good feeling about our upsets. I got a good feeling about our best bets. I think we're going to get back on the train. We're rolling here at ATB. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back on Sunday night, Monday morning for our recap show, give you reactions to what goes on in week 11. As always, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Apple and Spotify. Click the follow button right now. X, Instagram, TikTok. If you're watching one of our clips, just follow us, give us a follow, give us a comment, give us a like, all that good stuff. But like I said, we'll be back. And then we'll be back next Tuesday for more reactions to the Week 12 CFP rankings. So that's it for us right now. For Lance Barton, I'm Tyler Nohe. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next time.